good afternoon, and welcome to X Marks the Spot, a Twitter space dedicated to the Multiverse X ecosystem. I'm your host, Jan Guillaume, and I am the PR and Communications Manager at the X25 Labs. Today we have two special guests joining us, Francisco Layton, Director of Product, and Jonathan Boyd, Director of Institutional Markets at Aurus, a tokenized precious metals platform built on Multiverse X. Before we get started, just a few disclaimers. The views discussed in the show is entirely that of the participants and does not constitute financial advice, nor does it reflect the views of the X25 Labs. So NFA, DYOR, and LFG. Let's get started. Welcome, gentlemen. Francisco, let's start with you. Can you please introduce yourself and Aurus, as well as what exactly your position entails?
Hi, Dion. It's a pleasure. Well, my name is Francisco Layton. I come from Santiago de Chile. I've been working at Aurus since 2019. I'm currently the Director of Product, and that means I manage all the development and our strategy regarding our products and services, such as our own website, our mobile app, which is a nice digital wallet to store, manage, and do more with your precious metals backed tokens, and also with our ecosystem token Aurus X. On the other hand, besides managing our products, I also take care of the onboarding of our different partners, which are essential for the growth of our ecosystem. These are precious metals brokers and refineries that create the precious metals tokens that then are distributed across multiple platforms and hopefully very soon in the Multiverse X ecosystem. So those are mainly my tasks and my all my contributions at Aurus.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Jonathan, can you please introduce yourself and tell us more about your position at Aurus?
Hey, Dion. Nice to meet you. And my name is Jonathan Boyd. I actually come from South Africa, from Johannesburg, grew up there, and find myself in Europe now. I'm Director of Institutional Markets, which is quite a broad title, but really working with developing partnerships in and around, DeFi, new partners there, looking to scale the business on an institutional level or maybe just a larger scale level. We work with traditional types of businesses, particularly in the precious metals market. And the trick is to join them and get their understanding of what we're doing in the world of blockchain. So combining those two markets is always a fun and interesting challenge, and that's mainly my job and role.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I am from South Africa as well. I haven't moved to Europe yet, so still stuck here with load shedding and everything else the country has to offer. Now, it's been 2 years since the launch of Aurus. Of course, back then it was a bull market with rays of sunshine and rainbows. How has the peak and subsequent downturn in the market affected Aurus? And has offering tokenized precious metals offered some sort of stability compared to the rest of the crypto market?
Yeah.
Francisco, do you want to start?
Well, John. Of course, for sure. As mentioned before, Dion, we've been here for quite a while, since 2018, when we first tokenized the first allotment of gold together with our partner Direct Bullion based in London. And since then, several things have happened throughout these years. We've went through bull and bear markets, and we're still here, we're still building. And of course, we noticed how the end of the bull market affected the entire crypto ecosystem, especially with all the negative things that happen in the market with these participants that they misbehaved, right? We're all quite aware of that. But on our side, we just kept doing our thing, which was collaborating with the traditional institutions, right? Precious metals brokers and refineries, which helped us, of course, on keep delivering our products and keep opening new wallets and keep onboarding new users to our ecosystem. Because at the end, also for people to understand that Aurus, what we provide is the entire infrastructure for different precious metals businesses to enter the Web3 space. So we give them a super friendly tokenization as a service solution where they can mint and issue their own precious metals backed tokens, such as T Gold, backed by gold, T Silver, backed by silver, of course, and T Platinum, right? And in the bear market, we had, or of course, not a bit of luck, but we had also the moment where gold and precious metals started shining again. And that went very well with the precious metals tokens, also because we had COVID in the middle. And with COVID, there was quite some problems in the supply chain for investment in physical precious metals. And that's when tokenized metals started gaining some traction. And our partners saw quite an increase in the sales of precious metals tokens, which helped us also to expand our offerings. And that's why we also developed our Aurus mobile app in order to cater for the necessities of users, for them to do more with their tokens. Because previously, of course, as most crypto companies, when they start, you need to use infrastructure that comes from other ecosystems. And our wallet at that time for our users was MetaMask. But then we started this journey on building our own mobile app, which today has over 50,000 downloads, 2,000 active users. It works on both Polygon and on Ethereum. And hopefully soon also we'll be supporting Multiverse X. Is something that we're analyzing. And we've been working on for quite some months already. But I must say that the bear market brought very positive things for the precious metals backed tokens of our ecosystem. And of course, it had a bit of a shock with our own ecosystem token, because when the crypto market goes down, in general, almost everything goes down with it. But we experienced quite an interesting journey throughout that period.
Yeah. And if I can add to that, yeah, I like the way you said sunshine and rainbows. But it was quite funny because bull market was great for everything, and everyone was throwing money at anything, with a heartbeat or a pulse. And we had, meme coin mania, right? And the fundamentals of, do you IOR, do your own research, look at a project's team, look at what they are actually delivering, have they delivered on their roadmap? Are they going to be generating real revenues, which I think is very key for how I assess any kind of investments going forwards, right? And that meme coin mania kind of overshadowed a lot of projects doing real things with real assets, particularly, but also actually, delivering real value. So it was tricky to stand out, to be honest, in the bull market. And then obviously subsequently, we've been in, if you want to call it crypto winter, and everything has its peaks and troughs, and we've seen a lot more demand for what we're doing, right? Because people have started to see, all the speculative things have gone 80, 90, 95% down, if not out of business, no longer available. And they're saying, okay, right, these guys are working with real assets, right? Gold and silver and platinum. You've seen a lot more other projects with real world assets start to take off, and start to attract institutional investments as well. And institutional platforms looking at tokenized versions of traditional asset classes. So we've seen the traditional market, who were very nervous of blockchain, weren't very familiar with blockchain, right? And all the technology behind it, said hesitancies, right? I know Multiverse X has got this goal of getting the next 1 billion users into whether it's DeFi or at least just crypto or blockchain, whatever you want to refer to it as, right? Using digital assets, let's put it that way. And I think that only comes from education and easy on-ramps, but also when the technology is going to improve their business that they're currently in, and there's been a lot more demand from the normal businesses saying, how can we join, how can we tokenize? And I think a big positive there, which Francisco didn't mention, is we brought on a real big player in the gold industry, directly a refinery based in Spain, called SEMSA. So I think that was a big feather in the cap that we were able to achieve in the downturn. But we'll see how we go. Market cap has increased through the bear market. More demand has increased. I think our service, our offering, and our app and everything has improved as well as we kept building. So, let's see how this wave of real world asset demand increases, because I think it's only going to go one way.
That's a very detailed answer. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Of course, some people see Bitcoin as the so-called modern equivalent to gold, with Ethereum as its equivalent to silver. Why are tokenized precious metals such a big draw? And do you believe that precious metals will continue to grow in value in the coming decades? I mean, obviously, it's been around for centuries, but in the age of so-called digital gold and digital silver, do you think we might see that change in the near future, or are they still solid investments?
You mean, might they still change in terms of their ability to store value, or appealing as an investment class, if I understand you correctly?
Well, I'd say both. We're seeing an emergence of individual investors getting access to markets without needing brokers and brokerage firms, where they can invest directly in tokenized assets through you guys, of course, or the various different cryptocurrencies. Do you think this will affect precious metals? Because for a long time it was quite difficult for an investor to just purchase precious metals directly.
Yeah, okay. I think if you say, will it affect precious metals? Well, I think it can only affect the demand, for precious metals in a positive way. And the reason for that is, and I think you stated it in your question, Dion, is that access has been very difficult, right? You talk about the 1% in the world, right, who has access to all sorts of types of investing and debt, and it's how they stay wealthy. And kind of gold and platinum, particularly, and silver have been in that class. It's also been difficult because you've got to trust a broker, you've got to shop around, you've got to check premiums. Is this the right premium? Etc. Then you've got to worry about storage. You've got to worry about, this vault. What are the costs of the vault? I'm putting my investment in like a block of metal in this vault. Do I trust it? Etc. So there's a lot of decisions to make, right, before you actually even own the asset class. So yeah, it's been difficult. So I think with the age of tokenization and the ability to do it through an app, through a smartphone, and if you're comfortable with, the project you're using, or, investing that way, yeah, it opens up access to, hundreds and hundreds of millions of new investors. So I think it can only, and one of our goals, right, in our mission is to make this asset class, and particularly gold, silver, platinum, available to the masses, and easily available to the masses. And by using tokenization, they can do it in a small purchase, right? They don't have to do a $5,000 or $10,000 purchase. They can actually buy it in small amounts. So yes, I do think that tokenization will change this game and will increase the demand for gold, silver, and platinum, as an asset class, for sure.
I couldn't agree more, John. And also, that's why the market cap of all gold, in general, gold-backed tokens, has risen to its peak this year, right? You also see with the current inflation period that we're living, and will probably stay here for quite some more time, is that people will start realizing that you can hold part of your portfolio in USDC or any other fiat-backed currency, but if you have a 10 to 15% inflation a year, actually it doesn't make too much sense. It's actually not a store of value. But on the other hand, if you have gold-backed tokens, which in general have been following the price of the spot price of gold quite closely, with an average return per year of might go from 4 to 8 or sometimes even 10%, then you'll start seeing this kind of replacement effect. So, and you also have the the demand for precious metals from the normal traditional industry, right? As everything starts digitalizing more, you'll need more gold, you'll need more platinum, more silver. So time will tell, but now you see also countries and groups of countries that wants to build their own gold-backed tokens or CBDCs, right? So I think this trend of tokenizing real-world assets, the only thing that it has done is bring even more benefits and a better story towards precious metals. And as John was mentioning, it will increase adoption. It's already happening, right? So it's going to be quite an interesting era to look at precious metals, especially for the people that are investing and living in Web3.
Yeah, this actually leads me into our next question, the mention of CBDCs and, a lot of traditional finance firms starting to enter the world of blockchain. What sets Aurus apart from other projects that have or are trying to offer similar products? And do you see a threat emerging from not just traditional finance companies, but governments themselves to offer gold and silver and other precious metal-backed tokens and tokenized assets?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In my opinion, what sets us apart is that Aurus, it's a kind of technology company, right? We provide the technology and framework, and we collaborate instead of competing, which means we work with traditional businesses that have been working in the precious metals market for sometimes years to up to decades. For example, SEMSA JP, the refinery that John just mentioned, it's LBMA certified and has been in the market for over 100 years. So we are empowering these entities to stay ahead with the digital transformation, giving them the chance to tap into the digital economy, particularly to the Web3 space. While other competitors, as we can call them in the crypto space, are working as centralized solutions, right? Which means they buy, they store, and they sell. So they also set the price for their gold-backed token. While what we're doing is following the structure of the free market, enabling different participants to offer their own product, establish their own prices. We get arbitrage. They do so in different geographical regions, stored with different custodians. So then we diversify risk as well, and enable them to participate in the crypto market. So our model of collaborating is very scalable. At the end, we've seen this in the past 2 years. The necessity from these organizations to look for new technologies, to advance their digitization, and start offering tokens instead of just working with physical. And it's been quite an interesting trend in the market, and that's only going to scale. So the more partners we bring, the more we tokenize, the more distribution channels we open for them, then the potential for growth of Aurus, it's I don't know how big it could become, but so far that's what helped us scale, and that's what differentiates us from other competitors, from my perspective. Besides that, we also have our own niche. We're trying to make tokenized precious metals not only an investment asset, but we want to get them into different DeFi platforms. We want to make gold part of gaming, and we want to have eventually gold-backed NFTs. So we want to do more with these precious metals, not just something that you are going to hold and eventually sell in a few years from now. So it's about bringing them more use cases and utility, and that is something we can only do using tokenization.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, I think if you want to look at it, how do you onboard that next billion people, right? How do you make it easy for them to use digital assets? And in our case, gold, silver, platinum. I think that's got to have an easy user interface, and we already know it. It's called fintech, right? We've got multiple apps on our phone to make it easy for us to do things. I want to see the weather, download an app. I want to find the best picnic spot on a summer's day. There's an app for it. I mean, I want to buy gold now. Cool, there's an app for it. But what we want to do is really build out new use cases. Francisco alluded to it, right? particularly looking at DAOs in DeFi, looking at stablecoin issuers, right? A lot of them got into serious trouble with the volatility of the last 18 months, based on their treasury reserve assets. So, having something more stable like gold, you've always got to get out of jail free card, because there's a physical market in the real world, right? So you don't have to rely only on crypto assets. That's a big one, for us to scale, and part of what I'm going to be approaching directly. Plus, if you look at NFTs and the issues with NFTs, I mean, there's unless they've got some sort of clever way they're going to use all the funds that they've generated to sell these these PFPs and what have you, which projects are starting to innovate in, but they've got to use those assets effectively, and there are ways where you could look to actually back them with a real world asset again, because it's got a real tradable value in the real world. You're not only relying on the crypto pricing market, or at least the crypto market putting a value on an item. So NFT, there's a huge amount of potential there, but also just earning a yield, right? You can't earn yield very easily on a physical gold bar or silver or platinum. It's not easy. So, that's something we're building out right now, but real yield, right? Not inflationary yield using utility tokens to pay out, and then market dives, and then everybody leaves your platform, right? Which we've seen, and it will happen again. But real yield, right? Using those assets properly in DeFi, protected and insured. And then thirdly, I think key is looking at different areas where you've got a lot of tech savvy, knowledgeable, a lot of crypto native, but more tech native. And that's in the gaming industry, right? With huge revenues and huge online people connected all the time. And they don't really have a good incentivization mechanism within the gaming industry. They're still using PayPal and a handle in a Discord, and then for admins, it's really clunky and really inefficient. So, watch the space for how Aurus is going to penetrate that market too. And again, we're still talking about precious metals, which everyone thinks is kind of boring, but we want to bring some sexiness back to it. And tokenization of a real world asset like that gives you the ability to do so much more with it.
Yeah, definitely brings some more, I don't want to say solidity, but it solidifies the thing about utility. Everyone always asks, what's a token's utility? How will it maintain and grow value? Whereas a lot of these things are backed by nothing, especially meme coins. It's just for, the giggles. So it's good to have a solid basis where a product is backed by something that has value, that has centuries of proof behind it that it has value. And I think it also has a lot of familiarity worldwide. People know what gold is, they know what silver is. So it does sort of solidify it. Now, 2 years ago, when Multiverse X was still Elrond, you announced plans to build on the blockchain ecosystem. Can you tell us a bit more about what you've done so far, and of course the plans that you have for the future? I know the community has asked about if there are plans to offer individual assets on the Multiverse X blockchain in the near future. So can you expand a bit on your relationship with the Multiverse X ecosystem?
Absolutely. Well, we were looking at the Elrond at that time quite closely, particularly because some of the team members were investors in their ecosystem, in eGold. For example, I've been holding eGold since 2019, staking it till today. And we've seen the growth that the entire ecosystem has had. We see the passion for the community, loyalty towards everything that now Multiverse X has built and continues building. Also the focus that Multiverse X has, right? Strong in DeFi, NFTs, gamification. I would say today is one of the companies out there that offers one of the best UX and UI. So it aligns perfect with their vision and mission of onboarding more people into this space. You need something simple, sexy, but also fun. And that is something that Multiverse X has been providing extremely well. And that's why also the community in general, we love them, right? Because they promise, but they deliver. And they have closed insane partnerships. And we said at Aurus, hey, this matches exactly what we want to achieve in the near future. So if we would look at another network to build on, this sounds like the perfect match. And we decided to approach to Elron at that time, and we did a due diligence. We had some very good calls. We did our roadmap. And when we reached the technical part of the integration, right, bringing our tokens to Elrond, we found some issues at that moment with charging fees, because at Aurus we have certain fees associated with our tokens, the precious metals tokens, when you transfer them with their tokenization and burning of tokens. And it was quite a problem for us to charge those fees on top of the Elrond network. But then after certain months, we started having some good conversations with projects building on Multiverse X, and they helped us insanely well. And also there, John has been doing an amazing job communicating with them. So now it seems we found a way for us to pursue building on Multiverse X. Now it's about the requirements for us to do so, and there's a few things that we need to accomplish. For example, one of them is going to Multiverse X with sufficient liquidity. So that's something we're working on as we speak. And on the rest, well, we just are continue exploring this case, and hopefully we can deliver a date to everyone soon. But the only thing I can tell you is that it's part of our roadmap, and it's becoming more serious than ever before. So now it's just about fulfilling these requirements and start giving you this date for launch.
Yeah, I mean, we also just integrated the X Money payment gateway, right? Or X Portal, sorry. Yeah, it is X Money payment gateway.
X Money, Utrust previously, yes.
Yeah, previously Utrust. So that helps us to use that gateway to onboard users to our ecosystem. But it's also, because you can use eGold, right? A good way for anyone in Multiverse X to access the Aurus ecosystem as well through that gateway. So, good step in the right direction. Works really well, nice and slick. Always love the tech on your guys' side. The usability, the interface is great. But as a business, right, and you've got to take certain strategic decisions. We always liked the chain. I always liked the project. Obviously, Elron, now Multiverse X. At the time we were first speaking, but we needed to take some strategic decisions and not bite off more than we could chew at the time. But here we are, right? We've implemented, a key part of your guys' ecosystem into ours. Let's look at, we're currently discussing, I've spoken with the guys from Proteo DeFi as well. With, ASWAP was mentioned to us too. Entity Finance, I'm currently consulting, with Todd and Michael over there. So I'm quite familiar with the ecosystem and the tech behind it. And it wasn't so simple at the time to implement an on-chain transaction fee, which comes off of our gold, silver, and platinum tokens, right? That's key to generating revenues for the sustainability of Aurus, right? In its current form and as a DAO at a later stage. And that wasn't very simple with the ESDT token contract system. So, now I believe there are other ways. So we're looking into that. We're looking at how to build out the roadmap, what the requirements are, what we're going to bring, development from both sides. So, yeah, we're keen. It's a process. We're working on it, and we're speaking to the right people in your ecosystem, right? I believe they are, quite influential and quite capable. So let's put it this way, and let's watch this space.
That's a pretty concise answer. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, continuing on the topic of Multiverse X and the DeFi ecosystem. If you think about DeFi, most people will associate it with Ethereum and its layer 2s, simply because the majority of the ecosystem is built there. What is your opinion on the current state of DeFi and Multiverse X, and what can be done to further develop and grow the ecosystem more than X Spotlight, X Portal, and of course X Money, which you just name dropped there?
Yeah, I mean, you've got the makings of, right, all the key kind of elements, with the super app, there's X Portal, being a mobile wallet. I love the mobile wallet feature, right? The card is also another great feature. Trading, lending, staking. X money, as we've discussed, right? Your fiat on and off, super important, right? Because whether we like it or not, whoever you speak to who's been in this industry for a long enough time knows that, just to be in crypto only is quite difficult if you want to live in the real world still. So that fiat on and off is so important. And particularly to get direct into DeFi, which I'm seeing a lot of integrations, with other projects and that. So I think that's quite important. Not sure if X Money actually goes direct into kind of your DeFi platforms. Are they integrated into the DeFi platforms on Multiverse X, Dion?
I believe there's some integrations, but not really directly with the DeFi platforms, or at least the trading platforms.
Okay, yeah, I find that quite a nice to have. But then again, I mean, you just put it into your wallet and then just connect to the dApp anyhow. But the X Spotlight is quite cool because you've got a kind of a curator or culture club, if I may call it that, where you guys are highlighting different projects in the Web3 kind of NFT space and a creator community, but also the verification of the badges. Trust is so important. So I think you've got all the elements there. But I mean, if I look into it, there's about 4 dexes, right? 4 or 5 dexes, yield farming platform, and some lending as well on Proteo DeFi. And I'm not quite sure what Quantum X Network does. Haven't looked into them too deeply. But maybe a nice idea could be, and obviously TVL has dropped off massively, right, in the last year, but that's just been the case for DeFi. How do you improve it? Could be nice to have. I see Ashop is trying to do something similar, just a stable coin plus e-gold only DEX, which I like. Kind of a low risk LP strategy or liquidity providing strategy there. But more lending and borrowing, right? I think that's maybe where the leverage and what you guys are doing at DX Labs is going to bring to the ecosystem. So I'm excited to see that go to mainnet whenever you guys are going to be launching. Maybe a precious metals, or maybe not even specifically precious metals, but real world assets only type DEX. Could attract quite a lot of users, but also businesses looking to then use your chain because it's a very efficient chain. It transacts very quickly, very safe. You guys, make things very secure in the contract. So, as I've spoken to a lot of your devs, so I think that could be quite a cool addition because I do believe real world assets is going to be one of the next big waves, along with regulation, to move us into the next bull market.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunity. Now our users are very excited about derivatives, which is something that we've been working on for a while. Our CPO, James, is TradeFi veteran, has several patents. He worked very hard in the traditional derivative space. So that's also something, but I definitely agree with you that tokenized real world assets have a potential to disrupt DeFi. Especially because of that utility aspect. It actually brings a bit more certainty and I almost want to say safety to the investment instead of, empty promises that some projects have and like meme coins that are just for fun, but there's no real utility. And when the fun's over, then so is your money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. There's definitely a lot more potential there.
And even,
and I regularly say that. No, continue.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. But I think on that is you made a point, which is it brings safety and stability, but that exists already, right, in those asset classes, in the real world asset classes. But what it actually brings is, yes, it'll bring some safety and stability to kind of all the degens and, people very Web3 native and only on crypto, platforms and dexes, etc. Because now they can actually access it, with their whatever, tokens they're going to buy it with and keep it in kind of one portfolio. So yes, it brings that to them. But these real world assets are being traded in trillions of dollars every day anyway in the real world. But just with a more efficient rail like a blockchain, and particularly Multiverse X, they're going to be so much more efficient, right? And direct settlement without intermediaries, right? 24/7, on the weekend, right? Across borders, with self-custody. That it's such a change in paradigm where people already want them, right? It's just now this is a more effective way of actually trading them. So, whoever gets that right is going to get a truckload of users and a huge amount of uptick in, in their active user bases.
Yeah, well, that's also why everyone always says we're still early. It's almost lost its meaning in some circles, but we are still so much earlier than anyone can really understand at this point, especially with tokenization. Blockchain technology just still has so much more potential to be integrated into our daily lives. We're only now seeing, the traditional giants like JP Morgan, Visa, and all those guys embracing blockchain technology and crypto. But what happens when, most companies start to integrate it, and what use cases they could come up with? It's just, there's so much more potential, which is why now bear markets are the ideal time for building. It's a regular saying of mine that bear markets are for building. There's a lot less noise in the markets, and you can actually focus on really fleshing out your products. What has Aurus been working on during the current bear market? Obviously, you've been around for a while, so it's not your first bear market. But what have you been working on, or have you just really been fine-tuning and perfecting your product so users can kind of enjoy that? Or are there new developments as well? I know you teased it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, well, we've been all over the place during the bear market, actually. As you well pointed out, we've been perfectioning our offerings, mainly our digital wallet. We've also been working quite closer with our partners, so we've been dedicating much more time on empowering them and helping them to better offer these tokens. We've been also focusing quite strongly on integrating more fiat on-ramps and also crypto-to-crypto on-ramps, because as you say, the moment will come where this bear market's going to be over, and it's already, we are quite seeing the light, even though we've had a recent crash in the market these days. But you see the adoption from institutional entities. And once the moment comes, we need to be ready. And the best way to be ready is to have all of our infrastructure working solidly to receive this new wave of people. So we've been perfectioning the product, working on on-ramps, getting our partners stronger. And we've been also already focusing on what we're going to do with our roadmap for the next 2 years. Also with partnerships, it's been quite a ride this past year and a half. And well, at least during the bear market, as John said, we closed our refinery together with 5 brokers. So that was quite a milestone for Aurus, especially in a downward moment for the market. And we just keep doing what we're doing, which is building, closing partnerships and bringing hopefully more utility for the tokens and more value to our partners through new distribution channels.
Yeah. And I think to add to that as well is for everyone listening is, if people are thinking, I still quite don't get it, is we sit in the middle, right? And we provide the picks and shovels for the digital gold rush. Let's put it that way. So, we're not selling gold as Aurus, but we can help anybody else in their crypto business, Web3, blockchain business, or traditional business to sell gold or use gold within their product suite, right? To provide value to their user base. For example, if there's someone listening here who is thinking of setting up an NFT project, right? Contact Aurus. If they're thinking of backing it with gold or silver, but don't know how to do that, or, need help with the smart contract, et cetera, they can speak to us, right? And we can collaborate. We're all about collaboration, with, trusted and verified people and businesses. And then I think as well as what Francisco said is we've really looked at it and in this bear market, taken a step back and kind of said, okay, well, most importantly, what's gone wrong? What's gone right? Let's learn from our mistakes. Let's double down on what we did well. And, I think that's made us hyper-focused. And I think the most focused we've ever been to look at the markets where we solve a big problem. Which is not America. It's not Europe, really. We've all got kind of stability. But, if you look at emerging markets, right, your Asia's, your Cambodia, Vietnam, if you look at LATAM, Colombia, Chile, Peru, etc., Brazil, for that matter. So really being hyper-focused around our current partners, making sure we are leveraging the strength of those partners, but building our business around them strong and in the regions where we make a big difference, right? So that those people will get the most value out of what we're doing, and by making it easy for them to stake gold or silver. And if people don't understand what stake is, deposit, put it on deposit to earn an interest, but make it easy for them to do it through the app. Click button, earn interest, yes please. Happy client, right? That's what we're trying to do, rather than connect my wallet and what chain am I on, and I've got to swap that for that, and then should I need to put this in that vault, and then I need to take this token there, and then I need, we want to make it easy, right? Okay, for us who like DeFi and that, we don't mind doing those steps, but we want to take the value of DeFi in the back and just make it nice and easy in a nice, easy to use fintech offering in the front. So that's really what we've looked at in the last, has it been 18 months of a bear market already? It's quite crazy. But yeah, that's really what we've been focusing on, and new partners to also, to build with, right? So, building on a new chain is not a simple decision, and it's not a quick decision. It's something you need to consider. We've taken a lot of time to look at that, and hence why we're here having these chats with you guys.
Yeah, you mentioned a few countries now, and that brings me into my next question, which is the global economy is obviously facing an uphill battle. We've got rampant inflation in many countries. We've got unjust wars. Got a lot of negative factors affecting the global economy, but also emerging markets specifically. Historically, precious metals have been seen as sort of a safe haven asset during times of crises. Are you bullish on the performance of precious metals over the course of the next 2 to 5 years? Of course, you're welcome to say no, but I guess the answer is definitely yes.
Always bullish. Number go up technology. Yes. And hand on, I come from, I'll start, Francisco, sorry, but I come from,
No, of course.
I come from a traditional finance background, setting up investment portfolios and looking at markets all the time and, different regions. And if I look at the world today, man, I think it's a mess, to be completely honest with you. I think that we're in for more pain if it can get any worse, and I think it can, to be completely honest with you. There's so many curves inverted at the moment, and if you look historically at how gold, let's just talk about gold, performs in serious downturns. Just look at any charts, right? Let's go to the .com burst. Let's go to 2008-9. It outperforms by multiples. So yeah, I would be bullish based on that fact, but I would also be bullish on silver and platinum based on the focus more on ESG and sustainability, and electric motor vehicle movement we're seeing in the world, and all of these kind of technologies require in a big way silver and platinum is extremely low supply at the moment. So, and that's the majority of platinum comes from South Africa, funnily enough. I think you know that, Dion. And with all of the logistic issues there, and with all of the fun things that happen in deep, dark Africa, right at the southern tip of the world, it affects people being able to mine the metals and get them to the market. And that means a supply shortage, which drives price up. So, if we look at a couple of those elements, yeah, I would be bullish. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. South Africa is very, very unique at this point. For those who don't know, we've got rampant what they call load shedding, which is basically daily power cuts to reduce the load on our electricity supply, which means that businesses have to shut down mines, for instance, for precious metals. If they don't have generators or solar farms or whatever, have to shut down. So it's definitely affecting other parts of the world, whether it's directly or indirectly, because we do have a ton of precious metals. Which is also why I think your product has a unique selling point here and in other similar emerging economies where people want to invest in stability. They want to invest in things like precious metals and kind of safeguard their funds, because the South African rand rapidly weakened over the last month once again, and people are struggling, especially because the global economy is down. So that's also why I think there's definitely still a lot of opportunity for products such as the ones that you offer, perhaps even other precious metals later on. But obviously the big three have always had their value proposition. But moving away into the final question, focusing on the precious metals aspect, but tokenization and the crypto aspect. Next year, we're seeing the next Bitcoin halving, which traditionally has kicked off the bull run. Obviously, now with the global economy in shambles, that will also drive interest and adoption and growth in the crypto market. Are you guys bullish for crypto? We've discussed precious metals now, but are you bullish for crypto over the next 2 to 5 years, or maybe even just the next year or two?
I couldn't be more bullish. 2024 is going to be the year, if I would have to say something. The crypto market couldn't be at the best moment. Especially after bear markets, where you clean the market a bit, right? And it's sad to say so, but some projects disappear, meant to disappear. Bad actors, they make mistakes, they get caught, and they disappear. So we do this creative destruction towards the market, which the only thing that it does is bring pain in the present, but it only benefits for the future. So the crypto market is at its best position ever to enter the next bull market. Sadly, we're going, as John and you were mentioning, the world is going through really difficult situation, but also due to the lack of good behavior from governments, central banks, and people in power, the narrative towards crypto and empowerment of people and you becoming your own bank is starting to resonate much more at people's homes. And that's something that we all need to kind of thank Bitcoin as well. Personally, I believe in Bitcoin and I believe in the entire crypto market. But the ability of democratizing different monetary systems through crypto, it's a wonder. And that's why I think sometimes maximalism is not good, because the idea of the market is to give people the chance to choose. And that's what crypto is doing today. If you like tokenized gold, you can go with Aurus, you can go with Kinesis, or you can go with different alternatives that fit better with your necessities. The same happens with chains. The same happens with NFTs. So now people can choose where they want to store maybe their savings or where do they want to invest. So crypto is opening a world of opportunities if we keep it simple. And we are seeing real adoption, which I remember back in 2016, you were looking at the newspaper or looking for news online, and maybe once a month you could find something interesting about crypto adoption, maybe. But today is something that appears on the news every day. You open your Twitter and you can go crazy reading all the news of crypto adoption or tests being run by successful tech companies. So all of those different factors make me extremely bullish, probably for the next year. We cannot predict the markets, right? But this is cyclical, and bad times will be over. And when the good times come, prepare your wallets, guys, because we're in for a ride.
Yeah, I saw a funny meme the other day. One guy said to the other guy, he says, "Hey man, how did you do it? I don't know how you hodled through 2 bear markets." And the other guy turns around and he smiles at him and he says, "Yeah man, I lost my private keys." And I mean, yeah, it just made me chuckle a little bit because yeah, I have hodled through 2 bear markets personally, and because I do believe in this long term, right? And I think of my rhetoric I've mentioned earlier is I don't trust the traditional financial system. Never mind anymore, just in a lot of ways, right? The political linked, the capitalist farmer political links all together, and it drives only their own incentives, right? And I think going into blockchain and diving deep because Bitcoin was the first one, right? So that was all we could really research before everything else was developed, right? Before programmability and smart contracts came out, thank you, Ethereum, and then everything else shot from that. But what could we read in the start? And that was Bitcoin. And then you look at like history of money, and then I was like, oh, okay. Look at Austrian economics. Okay, then all the things I learned in economics, I was like, man, this Keynesian guy was actually a fool, right? Because he was talking a lot of rubbish. And so I relearned a lot of things, and therefore I just, if you look at the history of fiat systems, they generally run a lifespan of, and there's been multiple times, I mean, through the banks in Italy and what have you, and the most productive times were when they had gold standards. And the fiat systems generally ran, I think, like 55 to 60-year time frames before they ultimately tended to zero, because anything you inflate too much, ultimately, just based on mathematics, tends to zero. So, with all of that, I try not to look at it as like, oh, this is all cool, colorful new things. I mean, people must love it and they will start to buy it, so therefore I'm bullish. No, I kind of look back a little bit and look at what we've got and what the frailties are there, and what I actually truly believe people will demand in the future, and that is more control over their own stuff. Right now, a ledger is not going to solve that problem, right? For self-custody, but there will be more services that come out. You're seeing custodian banks, you're seeing like Avanti, you're seeing fire blocks, right, for institutional cold storage, for easy trading, right, for institutions to onboard. And what I said earlier as well is, if you look at the billions of people we want to bring in, right? You want to do it, Multiverse X wants to do it, Aurus wants to do it. Hey, we've all got, a similar goal and mission. They're not going to come in unless the assets they do want to buy and are already, having in their portfolios are now tokenized. When that happens and they can do it easily with peace of mind, it's a trickle-down effect because they're going to be having that in their portfolio anyway. And then next to their S&P 500 tracker, that's tokenized version, right? They're going to see, Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. And that trickle-down effect is going to be like, oh, let me just take a bit of that now, actually. My mate John wasn't so wrong about this, and it's actually doing, and they will, because they're in the app already or they're in the platform already. There will be a trickle down effect, right? All of us in this call are probably already, we're all bullish, right? So but it's the new people coming in, and I really do think that coincided with real world assets on chain. Will bring more volume, will bring more people buying it, and hence, yeah, definitely, create more bullish scenarios, for this asset class and this industry.
Absolutely, John. And I think also we all need to be a bit more humble, everyone that is in crypto, and educate our friends, our family, and do so nicely. I always see these memes that are funny, right? But still, personally, I believe that shouldn't happen. But when you joke about boomers, well, we need boomers to join crypto, right? So if crypto was meant for everyone to escape from government-controlled money, well, we need to welcome everyone. So also something that is the strength of the crypto market is the ability to collaborate. At the end, I've never seen in any market the potential and the power of collaboration between projects and companies. Also about interoperability. In crypto, making partnerships, looking for a win-win is something that happens every day. And that's something that we really need to cherish, and it's something that we also need to speak about with our close ones and be a good ambassador for this market so that we can onboard the next billion people all together, and also for all of us to enjoy a stronger bull market as well. So if we can all just educate, have good talks about crypto and bring people on board, it's just going to be better for everyone. Of course, always with the safety tips so that everyone do so in a good way.
Yeah.
But definitely bullish.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for joining, gentlemen. Had a lovely chat. We will be looking forward to seeing what you bring to the multiverse ecosystem, hopefully in the near future. Thank you for joining. If you guys want to check out Aurus, you can go to aurus.io and give them a follow on Twitter. It's @AurusOfficial. Of course, we will be uploading a recap article and recording of this Twitter space for those joined late or just want to listen to it once again. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thanks so much, everybody. And
Thank you, Dion. A pleasure. Thanks for everyone.